It is that time of year. It is Christmas. It is the holiday season, and I am here with Deborah King, one of the elder care coordinators at Taka's McGinnis Elder Care Law, and we are here to talk about one of the most vexing parts of the holiday season, and that is buying gifts for elderly loved ones. So, Deborah, how many years have you been working with older adults now?
Well, I've been with Taka's McGinnis for 17 plus years, but of course, prior to that, add another lot of years to that. I've been working with elders for a long, long time.
Yeah, so you've seen a lot of holiday seasons come and go. So why does buying gifts for older relatives create so much stress for family members?
Well, they don't need toys. Toys are fun to buy.
Yeah.
They have a lot of stuff. They don't need a lot of stuff. Sometimes they're living in a facility and don't have room for stuff. And we're all trying to get rid of our stuff anyway. So trying to figure out what kinds of things we can do or make or give to them that would make them happy, that shows our love for them, because we have to think about what's the reason behind the gift giving. You know, it's not just to give a gift, it's to demonstrate that we care about you and you want to do something thoughtful. Seniors can only use so many scarves and lap robes and gloves. So finding unique things to give them can help them appreciate and you appreciate. I mean, we've had, I'm now living with seniors. I'm almost a senior myself. And so understanding where they're coming from, they don't need a lot of clothing. They're not into all the newfangled technology that you buy for your teens and young adults. As I said, some of them like toys. We were talking about that sledding commercial that you see where the older women go and buy cushions and do the sled thing, So helping them relive those memories and sharing that time is what we find can be the best gift you can give.
All right. Toward that end, you have compiled for us a list of holiday gift ideas for the older adults in your life. Now let's look at our first category. You've given us, I think, 4 categories of gift giving ideas. So let's talk about the first category, which is gifts that encourage connection. What are you talking about here?
What do seniors want the most? They want to spend time with you. They want to be with you. We get busy in our lives and we're busy chasing after kiddos or working or taking our trips. And throughout the year, what do our seniors want the most? They just want to be with you. They want to spend time with you. They want to see you. So helping them connect with others and giving them that connection can really provide that smile to their face, that warm fuzzy. We got really good with this, I hope, during COVID, of connecting with calls. We all are working Zoom now or other FaceTime apps. And so scheduling a time when all the family can come together during a video conference and just share as if you were in the same room, because we're also all very spread out. We don't live around the block or around the corner from mom or dad. So looking at how can we connect, getting say Sunday afternoon or 4 o'clock on Christmas afternoon, we're going to do a Zoom call. We want everybody to come in and we're just going to share stories. We're going to talk about what our year has been like, or what we got for Christmas, or what our wishes and goals are for the next year, and just allow grandma or grandpa or mom or dad to be there in the room. They may not understand if they have cognitive difficulties, but I think they recognize the faces and the voices and the sounds and the smiles. It also helps if you are dealing with someone with cognitive difficulties because they're not in the midst of all the sensory overload. If you remember those Christmas dinners where you have 10, 15, 20, 30 people in the room and kids screaming and lots of activity and lots of lights and everything for our seniors, and especially those with cognitive difficulty, it can be overstimulating and too much, and they start getting panicky and anxious. So a video call can accomplish both of those things without the overstimulation.
Mm-hmm.
What do we all like to do? And when we think of family, what's the best thing? It's the food. It's the food. We just had Thanksgiving, right? And what did we talk about? When I was little, Mom always made pumpkin pie, and Grandma always cooked the turkey with her mincemeat dressing and things like that. So helping our seniors connect through those food and meals can be amazing to them. Maybe you get a recipe from Grandma or Mom and you make it and take it to them. It doesn't have to be fancy because 50 years ago, food was not real fancy. It was pretty basic, but it was comforting and it was there, and being able to share that. If you're not a cook, hello, or you don't want to take that on, taking them out for a meal or bringing a meal in and sitting there and sharing that meal with them, eating with them. It's a connection thing. We can all bond over the food and the meals and the family time. And so just spending that time while we're sharing a meal and talking, even if you're in front of the TV and you're watching the Christmas Story, it's time spent together, and you're creating a memory for them and for you. I love attending a special event. You know, there are so many activities around town, Christmas related and otherwise related. And if your loved one is still mobile or can get around with some help, let's take them to a special event. Can they go see the Christmas lights, or put them in the car and drive them around the neighborhood to see the Christmas lights? Do they love the Nutcracker or some of the offerings at the symphony? To get in the Christmas spirit. Sometimes it's just going to church and taking them to the Christmas program at church. You know, that's such a heartfelt, memory evoking thing. So finding what those events are around town, it doesn't take much. It takes money for a ticket. It takes time and figuring out how to get them there and get them home. Make sure you get a handicap sticker so you can drop them off at the door and park in the handicap lot. And then also recognizing that some of our seniors are in care situations. They need care, and they have someone with them part of the time or all of the time. And especially if that's a family member, giving that caregiver time off can be amazing for both of them, because, you know, when you're stuck in a room with the same person 24/7, you can get on each other's nerves. And sometimes you just need space away, you need time to refresh, you need time to fill your cup. So maybe you go over and sit with Mom for a few hours so your brother or sister that's taking care of her can get their shopping done, or they can go to the Christmas program, or they can just have a relief. So allowing that connection time, it does double duty, because your caregiver is getting a break and you're able to spend time with your loved one. And I think the next slide talks about what we're going to do when we're spending time with them, right?
Well, it does. And that brings us to another category of gifts, which is capturing memories.
Oh, this is my favorite. Okay. Everybody knows I'm a scrapbooker. I've been scrapbooking for 20 some years. I have albums on my shelf. And I love telling the stories with the pictures. As a scrapbooker, you realize you see the pictures. I mean, I have pictures from when I was a wee little thing, and I know some of the story. I know who the people are in those photos, but I don't know all of the story. So sitting down with your loved one and getting those stories recorded. We all have our computer and our camera. There we go. With us all the time. So it's real easy. You don't have to set up a fancy video screen or anything, although you can get a cute Christmas background.
Yes, like this, for instance.
Gala. But getting them to tell their stories while they're still able. I mean, if my grandmother was around, I would love to. I've heard the story once or twice. My mother was born in November. And imagine your grandmother being big pregnant and getting ready to have your mother. You know, that you just don't realize that that really happened. And she told the story that because my mother was born up north in November, that they told her they had to get the oil heater in the house before she could have that baby. So they're rushing to put the oil heater in the house just before she has that November baby. You know, who would have thought? I mean, that was a long time ago. And wanting to know those stories. Christmas was so different for people in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Even at our age, at my age, looking at what Christmas was for me and my family and what it is for my kids and your grandkids, it's really different. And so preserving that can be so helpful for both of you, You can, there are books online that you can purchase that give you guides, memory joggers, so to speak, of things you can ask them to, and then you can write it down or you can record it. If they're still able to write the story, that is precious. To have something that your parent or your grandparent wrote in their own words, in their own handwriting, can be really precious as we start telling our stories. As a scrapbooker, I find it really easy to pull pictures together from the past year. I see this a lot for people that have littles, to do a calendar for them. So a lot of the online photo sites, you just upload 12 pictures or 12 collages, and you put it together in a calendar and they bind it. And so every month they get a new picture, a new feature of your loved ones, as well as the calendar date to help remind them. I've done scrapbooks of family trees, you know, so grandma and grandpa are up here. And so we took our family and then did pictures of the grandchildren and their family so that they have something they can flip through all year long. It helps their memory. It makes them feel connected, and it's there all year round to say, there's Susie, and that's her daughter, Joanne. Okay. The home videos and film reels. So National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation was on Running a Marathon this weekend. So I saw all of it once and parts of it throughout the weekend. And Clark gets stuck in the attic and he finds the old movie projector. How he got power up there, I don't know, but he's watching these films of Christmases past. How fun is that? And so pulling those out and having those and showing those to grandmas, to elderly people, sometimes it helps their memory, because especially if they have cognitive problems, they're not remembering what happened yesterday or a month ago. But if you show them a picture from 10 years ago or 20 years ago, sometimes that'll connect for them and they'll remember that event. So pulling out those old movies, those old videos, finding a VCR player, or getting them digitized so that you can show them, you know, project them on your TV screen can be really fun and helpful and a fun way to spend time. And then the electronic picture frame. These have come so far. It used to be you had to upload them all to a thumb drive and plug it in, and you kind of had this static thing. They're Bluetooth now. So my sister has one in Michigan, and I have an app on my phone. And so every month I go through and pick a few pictures, and it automatically uploads those on her picture frame. So she'll be sitting there watching it, and all of a sudden she'll see a new picture of my family on there. So doing that for a senior, especially if you're not living with them, can help keep them connected with what's going on, because they can get pictures of the grandkids and all the activities, the sports events and the travel and everything. And it's real easy to do because it's all right here. You just buy the frame and download the app. And then, I mean, we all have, I mean, I have like 7,000 pictures on here. I could fill it up pretty quickly. So it's real easy to do. And I think it gives joy to people because they can sit there and it constantly plays through so they can see different pictures.
I want to jump in and say that for our viewers, we're going to have a list of resources at the end where you can actually purchase some of these items or get guidance to do some of these things, like make a scrapbook. And the version of this video that lives on YouTube and the version of this video that lives on the Take Us McGinnis blog will have active links that you can just click through to find these items. And I want to say something about digitizing home videos, film reels, and photos. In my family, my dad took pictures all the time. He was a photographer. That was his side hustle. And we have mountains of slides.
Oh.
I mean, a kid these days wouldn't even know what a slide is, but we have slides. And I think that they've had some of those digitized. And it's just, I mean, when you look at what they did with our hair in the 60s, I mean, that pixie haircut, like, what were they thinking? That's, I really want to know. I look at those pictures and I'm like, okay. But these are all great ideas to capture memories. Now, our next category of gifts are those that encourage correspondence. Talk to us about these, Deborah.
So our seniors these days, we're talking people 60 and up or whatever. When we were growing up, we got mail. Every day it was, has the mailman come yet? I want to go get the mail. I think about my grandmother who lived out in the country, and we had to walk down the long driveway to the mailbox to get the mail. And it was a daily event. Well, either I'm going with grandma or grandpa and the dog, and we're walking down the driveway to get the mail. So mail, U.S. Postal Service mail, has a special memory for people who are currently older, the baby boomers. So helping them get mail can be a real smile buster for them. It can put a smile on their face because they'll get a card or a letter, and it's like, oh, I wonder who this is from. And they get in the house and they sit down in their chair and they open it and read it, and they cherish it. When I went to grandma's house for Christmas, she always had them displayed somewhere, maybe around the arch in the dining room, or she had those special card trees. You always had all those cards displayed, and they got tons of them. So helping them get those cards and then going by and helping them read them and have them talk about, well, who is this from? Because most of the physical cards that they get now are from their old friends, right? The people who still write cards to them.
Yeah.
So, talking about who Aunt Irma was, or who this friend was that still sends a card, and what they're doing now, because they also wrote in the cards. It wasn't just a signature and put it in an envelope and mail it. They wrote a story, or they would enclose a holiday letter that outlined all the events of their past year. So being able to sit with them when you're spending time with them and reading them with them and having them tell the stories about who it's from or what they remember about that person. Again, they may like to send cards and not have the capability to do that. So helping them do that. Buy a box of cards and some stamps and go over and say, Grandma, do you want to send some cards? Who can we send cards to? Because I bet they'll dig out their little address book, and it's got all the penciled addresses in it. And you can go through and say, do you want to send one to Viola, or how about Irma? And help them address those, and they can sign it, and help them get that in the mail. Or maybe they want to write a letter. This is a good one, that have them write a letter to a loved one that tells a story. And maybe it gets mailed and maybe it doesn't. Maybe they need to say some things that haven't been said before. A lot of our seniors worry that this might be their last Christmas. And so helping them say those things that they need to say, the holidays give you an opportunity to connect and do that. And so can you help them put those words down on paper? You know, what do you want to say? Do you want to list some gratitude items? Do you want to grant some forgiveness? Do you want to say, I'm sorry? Do you just want to say, I love you out loud? And let's put that in writing, because that can be precious to those that receive that. It's a good time. We talk a lot about how family time together can be real stressful, and all those family emotions come out and you can start stabbing each other. Let's make it different. Let's make it a time to connect and love and do those group hugs with your family, because we're all living so much further away, we don't see our loved ones as much. The world has changed and we're not in the same town. We're not in the same state. Some people aren't in the same country. So when you get that opportunity to come together, to connect with them and to say all those words that you want to say, you might get to say them again next year and you might not, but at least they're said.
Yes, yes. Okay. Our next category of gifts are those that improve quality of life. And the ideas on this list are kind of all over the place. So walk us through these 4 ideas.
Quality of life. So the virtual reality goggles can be kind of fun. It might take a while to get used to because you got stuff over your head, but look up some TikToks of elderly people with virtual reality goggles. They can be really funny, right?
Yes.
But it can allow our loved ones to do things that they're no longer able to do, okay? If they've always wanted to go back to Germany, to their home country, you can throw up a travel video of Heidelberg and put those goggles on, and they can walk through the streets of Heidelberg during the Christmas festival. If they always wanted to take a cruise or wanted to see the ocean, you can put those videos on these virtual goggles and it literally feels like you're right there. Now, we do advise, especially for seniors, that they're seated. They're sitting down when they do this because it can give you a kind of shaky reality and we don't want them falling. So make sure they're sitting in their recliner, but help them feel the reality of what it is. And the technology has come so far in the last 10 years that it's literally like you feel like you can reach out and touch someone.
Yeah, and we've got links to a couple of virtual reality goggle sources in the next slide. So that's a fun thing to give.
Well, and the kids may have them. Your teenagers may have them. So let's take them over and share them with grandma and let's see how grandma does, right? Maybe grandma wants to play baseball or go bowling, and the goggles allow you to do that because there's games on there too. So
yeah.
And that can connect your youngsters, your teens, your young adults, and even the school age kids who use those. You know, you go show grandma how to do that. Or maybe they get their little gaming system out and show grandma how to play those games.
Yeah. Yep.
What about books? Many in that generation are readers, because they didn't have TV when they were growing up, and what's on TV doesn't appeal to them anymore. So they still like to read, but sometimes it's difficult. Eyesight fails. You always have to find your glasses so you can read. Sometimes they physically aren't able to hold the book. So getting them Audible books. There's a lot of apps that you can use. There's a lot of availability. And some of them are really good, especially if you find the ones where the authors read the books. I mean, it's so cool. It's like you feel like you're there, and they can put headphones on and listen to these, and so they're not distracted by all the everything else that's going on. So it can be really good. I also want to mention, if they do have visual problems, if they are developing macular degeneration or cataracts or glaucoma, the State Library for the Blind has free audiobooks, and they will send you a player and as many books as you can read, and they rotate them out for you. It's a real simple process, so you can look online for that. But that can take people back, whether it's fiction, whether it's nonfiction, whether it's Bible stories, but it can provide a stimulation to our seniors that they may no longer have because their vision is gone. But if we can connect with their hearing, that improves their quality of life, and it keeps their mind active. And we know that's a lot of it. People get bored. So,
yeah. How about the raised garden box?
The raised garden box is amazing. So many of our baby boomers grew up with vegetable gardens or flower gardens. And you see them a lot in the facilities. And the thing about the raised garden box is it's not on the ground. So you don't have to worry about bending over or falling or kneeling or trying to get back up. It is either seated level or standing level, and you just dump the dirt in, and you can dig your hands in the dirt and plant what you want and harvest if you're growing vegetables, or put all the flowers in there. And it gives people who are no longer as mobile as they used to be an opportunity to connect with some of the behaviors, some of the activities that they're used to doing. You know, they're used to puttering in the garden or hoeing or going out. Many of them, you know, my family grew up as farmers, so that's what they had. So the raised garden box gives them an opportunity to do that, but it adjusts to their physical level. So you want to get one if they're more a seated person, where they can put a chair next to it and dig in the dirt, or if they stand and make it available to them. And there are even some that are the hydroponics that you can grow in the house, right? It's water-based. And so they can grow those vegetables. And it also gives them something to do every day. They can go and look at it every day. They can check for weeds. They can watch it grow. They can watch those fruits develop or those flower buds open. So it again provides that stimulation, that brain stimulation. It gives them an activity that they can do every day, that they can do throughout the year. And then the pet companion. Oh, we know we love our fur babies, right? And it's difficult for the boomers because, you know, pets live a long time, and you have to kind of put it in perspective of your own lifespan of who's going to live longer, the dog or me. But there's a lot of pets available for rent. Okay. You can
rent a pet.
You can hire a therapy dog to come and visit you. Many of the facilities in the area have people that bring their animals. I mean, I've seen therapy dogs. Somebody had a therapy pig. I saw a TikTok of one of those miniature horse things, you know. If they meet the requirements that they can bring them into the facility, then being around a pet, a cat, a dog, or any other animal can provide such comfort and companionship. Now, you don't want a little active one that's going to jump and knock grandma over, so you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Also, I know in our area, a lot of the shelters offer fostering. Over Thanksgiving, the animal shelter offered you the opportunity to take a pet home for the weekend. You only had to do it for the weekend. They were trying to empty their shelter. So you could take this pet home for the weekend. They gave you the food and everything, and then you could take it back. Okay. What they're hoping is you attach to that pet and you don't take it back.
Yeah.
But if it is too much for you, or you're not in a situation where you can keep it long term, you had a pet for the weekend. And I know over Christmas, they do the same thing. They call it Silent Night because they want to make the shelters silent throughout the holiday season. So they let you go and foster a pet over the weekend or the week, just so you get to be around a pet, but you can take it back if you need to. So it's pretty easy. And also if your kids, your family has pets, you want to see if you can bring it to visit your loved one. If they're in a facility, most facilities will allow a pet to come visit as long as their shots are up to date. So you have to take their certificate. And then you want to make sure it is not a rambunctious pet, but one that would be appropriate to be around an older person.
Yeah.
So, but we all love to pet our pets and, get a little puppy and let it lick your face and all of that.
Well, those are all really, really good ideas. And so what I want to do now, again, for our viewers, is just let you know that many of the items that Deborah's talked about are available online. You can do a Google search for anything, right? But we've compiled some links that you can actually click through on the blog article that's connected with this video, or on the YouTube description. You'll find the links there as well. And I think the bottom line, Deborah, is that gift giving doesn't really have to be stressful if you think beyond the things and think more about connection, capturing memories, encouraging correspondence, and thinking about how to improve quality of life. Do you have any final words of advice to the person who has older adults to buy for? Final words of advice.
Think about not only what they like to do now, but what might promote a memory for them. An older toy, an older something that's fun. The sledding commercial that we've seen, it was a memory. It was a whole memory thing. What can you do to promote those memories? And because those give you those warm fuzzies.
Yeah.
And
That's
it creates memories for you. So then you have memories going forward of, I remember the last Christmas grandma was here, or 3 Christmases ago when grandma got to meet their new great grandbaby or great grandbaby. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Deborah, thank you for coming on here today to talk about gift giving.
Thank you, and happy holidays.